Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back to tonight's second half. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. The merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description below. Finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost you a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with tonight's second half, shall we? All right, guys, real quick before we get into tonight's second half, something that I left out on today's bonus about Miami's creatures. The airport was not closed on the Monday. It wasn't closed from Monday from 8 to 10. That you can easily say that. You know, I could say, oh my God, Albany Airport is closed right now because there is a Bigfoot on the runway. How many people will believe it? 100, 150, 300, 200, you know? People will believe anything, especially if it's online. Nobody has claimed that the airport was closed. No one. Except TikTok, Reddit, and the X that are all connected to this craziness. You can actually go to a website called Federal Aviation Administration, and it tells you delays. And during the holiday time, there was like 15-minute delays up to an hour. That was the longest. Go figure. Huh. And then someone had made mention of, well, if there was rioting, why aren't there videos of that rioting? Well, there is. Do you know the people that were involved in the riots and that were at the riot? Go find their TikTok, find their freaking Instagram. You'll see it. But my response to that is, if there was aliens in that riot, wouldn't there be video? I mean, come on. I'm disappointed, to be honest with you, that like without looking into something, people buy into it very quickly. You know, and it's sad. It is sad. And you know whose fault that is? It's not the people that buy into its fault. It's the people that make the videos faults, because they hit you with a crap load of negative information. We are already on edge about our government anyway. I mean, I was watching something with Senator Kennedy from Louisiana today, and I was ticked most of the day because of it. But, you know, the world is in shambles already. New access of power or evil and this and that. Of course, you know, some more bad news. Guys, some simple research and looking in the right places. It takes you 10 minutes. Takes you as much time as it does to comment, to look into something before commenting. And then someone wanted to tell me earlier on the Fort Wainwright 11th Airborne Division. So this person tried to tell me that Fort Wainwright wasn't open during that period of time in 2012, and that the 11th Airborne Division isn't in Fort Wainwright. Well, I never said they were out of Fort Wainwright. I said the Arctic warfare training was out of Fort Wainwright. The 11th Airborne Division is out of Alaska, which would be Anchorage, Fort Richardson. They were training, which I stated in that upload, like 4 days ago. So this person said that Wainwright wasn't in existence until 2020, and the 11th Airborne Division didn't become in existence till like, I don't know, 20 something. And that, that was his big flaw in the upload. Well, Fort Wainwright was open in 1941, and the 11th Airborne Division has been active since 1943 till present day. I am desperately losing hope. Desperately. Anyway, let's get into this second half. Oh yeah, I forgot. There is so much. The helicopters that are flying in the air, news helicopters and police helicopters. It's kind of coincidental that nobody has video of these black helicopters that they're talking about. Once again, I can tell you that there's a Bigfoot in the Albany airport, and there's black helicopters flying over. Oh my goodness. Where is these black helicopters that these people are telling us are there? They're not there. They're news helicopters and friggin' police helicopters. All right, now let's get into it. Sorry. All right, everybody. Tonight I have a special guest out of Louisiana. Mike, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, Jeff. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to come on and share your experience. I've talked to you for a little bit, and I got the gist of your encounter. I didn't get the whole encounter, but I know that you don't like going out into the bayou anymore. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you so you can share your experience with everybody on the channel.
Okay, sir. I'll get to the point. I went hunting. It was May 2009. I worked at the Levac shipyards, and I needed my weekend with my dog to go hunting. So it was early morning, Louisiana, and it was foggy. So we ended up outside of the town of Crowley, where I live, shotgun and a German Shepherd. We got out the truck, parked it by some old railroad tracks going west from Crowley. We're hunting down the rails. It's foggy, and my dog stops dead in his tracks, and he's just pointing. I said, well, that ain't good. It's maybe a raccoon or something. I said, what is it, Hunter Bone? He didn't look, just kept creeping. And we were at the point, we were like a quarter over an old bridge, railroad bridge, over a bayou in the fog. And he started creeping some more, and it's just like in an instant, this creature comes over this bridge walking, and it was just total fright. I mean, just total terror. Mm-hmm. Orange eyes, I could hear me saying, Lord Jesus, please help me. I had a shotgun. It was a 12-gauge Remington, and it was just instant. He's looking at us, and we look at him. It's like my hair was standing up. I mean, it's just total fear. I was terrified.
How big was this thing?
Man, it was taller than me. I'm 6 foot. I mean, I put on another program. I mean, I don't mean to cross over. Brent Sawwin's encounter. I said it was a 10-foot Louisiana Dogman, but that's probably because I was afraid when I told him that. But this thing was at least 8 foot tall. Okay. Built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and standing there growling and looking at me. Well, Hunter was about to attack this thing and kill him. That's just how Hunter would attack a train. That's how kind of a dog he was. But I said, no, Hunter. And I looked at that thing, and I popped a buckshot over at some bitch's head. I should have just plugged his ass, but I didn't. I don't know why. That's strange, because you know how you are with a gun. Yeah. And he jumped up and growled and shrieked. I said, holy God, help me. The sucker ran back the other way over the bridge. Well, I followed his butt running with another shot. Bam! And the rest of it was bird shot. That's usually how I hunt. Buckshot in my chamber. to rest bird shot, and I don't use any strange rounds like fire rounds and not flechettes or nothing.
Right.
And we had to run back the opposite direction. I could hear the sucker crashing over the other end of the bridge in the weeds, but see, there's on the railroad ties, they're separate. If you miss a step, you're going to put your leg right through that thing, probably break your leg or your ankle. So we had to hot put it. We ran back about a good quarter mile or so to the truck. It only lasted that long, but I remember I turned about 100 yards and fired my shot again, for insurance purpose. And we ran back to the truck. I was terrified. He was terrified. I couldn't believe we hauled ass back to Crowley. Sorry for the expression.
No, you're fine.
But it only lasted that long.
Right.
30 seconds. And see, I was a dogman. I was a dog catcher in this town. But something like this, it just escapes reality. I was so nervous, I didn't know what to do. I didn't tell nobody. I told the state trooper. He said, well, I've seen dog critters run across my camera, but he didn't realize what I was talking about, this creature. And this is outside of Crowley, around some abandoned railroad tracks. It used to be the Opelousas North-South Exchange.
Okay.
And that's where I sent a picture for you. And that's pointing towards the interstate, but the reverse of that picture would be a bridge over a bayou. And this is in the fog, and believe me, I was terrified. I really was. I never had to shoot at a critter that was going to try to kill me. I couldn't believe it. I could still see the face of that thing. The eyes were orangey looking. It's like he had an LED set in his eyes,
Right, yeah. Almost like glowing.
Yeah. I thought it was the devil.
Yeah.
I did.
Now, how close were you guys?
I thought I had trespassed in some evil voodoo something.
Right. How close were you to it?
That was my only impression. That was my impression all the way to the trail. The shaky fear that came on me instantly was not normal.
Right. Mike, how close were you to it?
I couldn't raise my shot in time. I was so terrified,
Right. Mike, how close were you? Like, how close were you guys?
Well, okay, you know how wide a railroad track is, okay? Imagine you're standing on a trestle on a bridge, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're walking. Each step you got to take is on these planks, so you don't step through.
Right.
Because you'll bust your hind end and probably break something.
Yeah.
So I'm about a quarter over the bridge, and this thing came out of the fog. Now, see, this fog is thick here. So we're talking 20 feet. Or I could see the darn thing. That's when Hunter went crazy. He wanted to attack his thing. He was going to try to kill it. But I said, no, Hunter. He obeyed me, not attacking it.
Right.
That's still to this day, I don't know why I didn't plug that sucker with buckshot in the head. I just shot over his head. I'm glad that scared it off and I didn't have to confront this thing. I can imagine if I was out there just to poke around with a little 22 or something,
yeah,
what a problem would be,
Definitely.
Or if I didn't have a shot at all.
Yeah, if you were just out there hiking or doing, just walking.
I've done that. Sure, I've done that before. I'm out metal detecting with a metal detector to find coins and stuff, but this is kind of boondoggies, and it's kind of bog, snake-infested part of the bayou.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the railroad tracks. So it was a direct confrontation. It just stopped right there. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That'd make you swallow your dead gum bubble gum instantly.
Definitely would.
Yeah.
Now, did you notice a scent, or was there a smell, or was it just instantaneous? You see
it was
through
like,
the fog?
when it came out of the fog, the fear factor was something I've never experienced.
Mm.
It just froze me. It was like a weapon, the fear.
Yeah.
It was a real terrible, shaky fear where it froze me in my track. The orange eyes, I couldn't believe that. This sucker was built, standing there, and I remember my mouth had gaped open. I'm just like in awe. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Your instinct, what you've been taught, I keep hearing, shoot it, right? That's what you hit. Kill it, shoot it, right?
Yeah.
I remember I called on the Lord's name. I did, I remember. but I don't know why I didn't plug his butt in the head and shoot him. But he lived. I mean, I don't know why, but I'm glad he ran just after a couple of shots. I'm sure it had to sting somewhere. Maybe I got a piece of him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, like a wolfy-looking canine head and big ears and fangs and the growl. I almost lost it, actually. You know what I did? I remember I went and bought a pint bottle of Jim Beam and poured me a shot to calm my nerves, and I don't drink.
Yeah.
I don't mess with liquor, but I did.
No.
You know, I finally got enough nerve to call the wildlife people, Louisiana Wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, and he didn't believe me at first. He says, well, you need to not go back to where you're at. You know, he said, next time you have an encounter, tell me. I told him where it was at and everything else. You know, he said, you sure it wasn't a bear? Or, you know how they do. They want to make sure that you're not lying to them.
Right, right.
You know, and they say, well, our suggestion, he said, a 12 gauge, Mr. Edwards, would not stop that kind of creature.
So he acknowledged. So he kind of acknowledged that they knew this thing was out there by saying that kind of.
Sure.
Yeah. Wow.
They've had that encounter before right outside of Crowley. And I mentioned it. It's called the Old Ziegler Nursery along the railroad track. There's another set of railroad tracks that goes in between the town. There's a nursery down here. It's about 6 miles down the railroad tracks, where a Dogman, 2 of them came on this property, and I called this woman, Miss Ziegler. She says, yeah. She said, we caught these dogs going from tree to tree in our headlights when we came home from dinner. But she says, then, a week later, these 2 dog creatures jumped their fence, and their children got up on the car, and they're terrified the crud out of them, and they would hang around, and they excremented on the porch. And the wildlife people said they'd never seen the prints or their excrement or the hair before.
So these creatures were in the trees?
They jumped over the fence.
No, the first time they saw them, when they were...
When they came back from eating at Don's Seafood in Lafayette, and these creatures jumped down out of the trees.
Wow, okay.
And ran off. This property, I know, because there's a veterinarian that lives there, Dr. Artall. It's an old Indian burial ground. I know that.
Okay.
And I read about this. Ms. Ziegler said, I got a story in the Ghost of the Bayou. So I read it, and she tells her story about how the house is haunted. She says I keep rosaries on all the walls, but sometimes the tables and chairs will move and the dishes will fall off, and it's haunted. I said, how do you stand that? She says, I don't know what to do. She said the priest wouldn't come back when he tried to exorcise the house.
That's
so,
crazy.
And it's owned by a veterinarian, Dr. Altall, and I've had confrontations with him because I had to take dogs to be put down. You know, it's sad to say, at his veterinarianship over here. I told him about all that. He says, yeah, I know it's haunted. I ain't worried about that. He said, but I didn't know about no dog men. I said, that happened on this property years ago.
Wow.
And so, but that's right by a bayou, see, so they probably have to come out of the bayou. Now, I don't know the connection between the Indian burial ground, what ritual they're coming on the property, if there's a, you know, the spiritual world as well as I do. But there's fear, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I've heard there's been someone that I talked to that's up in Maine, and there's a, not near the ocean, but kind of in the middle of the state, and there's an old burial mound up there, and he said that there's been sightings. He's never seen it, but he said there's been sightings of a dogman around that burial mound, and you know, I find that kind of interesting.
You know, I was going to ask you because I wasn't used to meeting something like that, and I haven't been back since 2009.
Yeah.
That's how terrified I was, and I thought I was pretty grown. But I'm not going to go looking for trouble. But these creatures do exist, like the guy said, the agency said. They produce just like any other animal. They move around, they reproduce, they have to live out there, but you don't see a whole bunch of them. I said, this is South Louisiana. why don't y'all catch these suckers and put them on display, or use them for a K9 dog or something? You know, get a hold of one of their puppies. Say, this is my dog Cletus. Can you change that tire, Cletus? He probably yanked the dang hub off.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just reality.
I find it's crazy that he actually admitted to, you know, saying, hey, the shotgun ain't gonna do you any good on that. I mean, that's amazing. Yep. Right there.
Yeah, he said, look here, next time you have an encounter, we got a special number we can call, and we know who to call. He said, okay, so you just stay clear, be safe, and keep us informed in the event it happens again. And that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't go back. I never went back. There's no way.
I can't.
Not in the fog, anyway. Yeah. I took a picture of that area and sent it to you in my messages.
Yeah, yeah.
If you look at the opposite of that picture, which you can't see, but behind you, if you're looking that way, is the bridge that goes over the bayou. And this is an old train trestle from the 1920s.
Yeah.
And it's abandoned and it's off the ground. You know what? That's the last place you expect to meet somebody like that, a creature like that. I still can't believe what I read.
Absolutely.
It's just awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember you had emailed me something a while ago about a poultry farm out in Shreveport.
Oh, yeah. They have in North Louisiana.
Yeah.
Up by Nacogdoches, they had a Dogman attack on a poultry farm, and then on a pig farm, and then on a cow farm in the same county, in the same parish, and the wildlife people played it down as a bear. But the farmer says, no, it was a dog creature, werewolf, because they had Mexican workers. He said, no, dog, big werewolf, big galloto. He had to shoot at it with a shotgun. It ran off. I mean, it was inside the fence line.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's a big, poultry farm. But they don't broadcast it. It's probably so people won't be afraid, I guess. I don't know. They don't never tell the truth about that stuff. That should make main page of any newspaper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
People want proof, I know. I mean, I've heard the stories y'all told, like which one of it? The Alaskan Triangle of people. Yeah. Over 20,000 people a year don't come back. Now, bruh, that's irresponsible in my book, but something's putting them out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's
20,000. Yeah, come on, bro.
Yeah, there's just
somebody ought to say no. You can't go with that in that region. Something.
There's got to be some sort of protection. The government really needs to step in and protect its people instead of being fearful of. I think it's loss of money. Of tourist industry, lumber industry, paper, this and that, mining. The public knows something like that's out in the woods or close to, mines or any place like that. Who's going to want to work it? But if the government's open and forthright, I think, people would be a little more accepting of it. Hey, we got to just... I mean, bears kill people. Why they don't hide bears from us,
Right. But the point you were making before, and I remember all your guests that I've heard before. But why don't they go and catch some of these creatures and put them where we can view them?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. I mean, if you can shock the crap out of a creature and it won't die. I mean, you can catch one of these. I know better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you blasted one with some shot, and it didn't die.
Sure.
So, I mean,
why not show them off to the public?
Well, I said that before. I don't know if you heard it. I said, even if we dropped one in a cage in the middle of Super Bowl Sunday and everyone saw it, the government would still deny that happened and somehow turn it around to where it was a guy in a suit or something like that. It's just...
Right. I heard your guest that used to hunt those down, the gentleman that got clawed up and the agent and what he went through. That's an amazing individual in my book.
Yeah.
They can go through that. And the fact that they turned them loose in Vietnam to be tunnel rats, that's a good use. I mean, I have no idea what the U.S. government does with a Dogman or a Bigfoot. But more power to them. You know, they don't want the public involved. Is what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah, I don't.
I agree.
Now, I'm
Sure.
shocked about the Ziegler case there. That's pretty. How close is that to where?
Okay. Here, you do your homework. If you want to write that down, all your listeners, you look on Google, Crowley, Louisiana, and you go west down 90. Goes right through Crowley. The Ziegler Ranch, Nursery Ranch, there's a railroad track that's parallel with Highway 90.
Okay.
It goes west, and it's right there on the side of the railroad track, the Ziegler Nursery. And it's got barns and stuff. It used to be a nursery, the Zieglers. Name it did. I actually called her one day. I said, Miss Ziegler, do you mind if I come over and ask you some questions? She says, well, call me first, because I got a gun in every room. You know, she ain't afraid to use a gun, but she was terrified of this thing. Her husband died, is what happened, and she was alone, and so her daughters came and got her.
Wow, that's just
and moved
terrifying.
her out.
I can't.
And that was, she was terrified of the Dogman.
And that
would come back.
And the people came, the wildlife agencies came, and they denied ever seeing any of that excrement or claw marks.
They said, we've never seen this excrement or these prints or this hair follicle before. It's new to us. It's not in our book chart of prints. Okay. They didn't deny it. They said, yeah, we know what's up, and we know it's a creature, but he said there's only 2 footprints here. It doesn't show 4. It's bipedal.
Yeah.
You know, duh, but I mean, it's recorded. And if you look down 90, the railroad tracks, look for Ziegler's Nursery. It's right there. It's now a veterinarian. Dr. Artall lives there. And you can see that on Google Maps if you want to. It's not too far out of Crowley, but it actually happened right there, you know. Yeah. And I wanted to make sure it was legitimate, so that's why I called them. You know, the gentleman that was the caretaker for that property, I met him in a barber shop. He said, I was the caretaker. I went inside the house to get a drink, and the dishes and everything started moving, and the rosary necklaces on the wall started spinning. You know, he said, I was so terrified, I threw my water, I just took off. He said, it's haunted. I mean, that kind of a poltergeist in this house with this stuff, I have no idea the connection, but that's the way it is. And I wouldn't live there either. I'd have to exercise that house first.
Absolutely. You know, and
I
really think there is a connection too. You know, that's why I am fascinated with the total paranormal. You know, ghosts, poltergeists, because there's got to be a connection.
And magic. Yeah. Yeah, boy. I mean, there's so much of that lore here; it's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's just something, you know, something connecting it all together. I don't know what it is, but there's something, and it's terrifying. You know, it's
sure the spiritual world moves the material world, and you don't know if these creatures got demons inside of them.
Yeah, they could be demons.
I've seen demon-possessed people before. They got red eyes looking back at you. Demons of rape, murder, incest, alcohol, drugs. They come in all forms and fashions. And you don't know if they just decided to hitch along with these critters. You know. Yeah. Sure, it puts a fear of God in you. I can't believe the good Lord would make a creature like that. That's probably why the Indians were so brave. I mean, I've heard what's the encounter in Mississippi and all over.
Taylor,
but see, I see new accounts coming up, but they're not as grisly as some of these stories.
Yeah, I think a lot of these accounts that come up now are new, but then I think sometimes with the internet we're able to hear older accounts too. You know, that ones that we'd never hear if it wasn't for the internet.
Yes, sir, I agree. People are not saying something. People don't say things. You know.
Yeah. Speaking of that, had you ever heard of the Dogman prior to your experience? Had you ever heard?
I didn't think there was such a. I heard of the Loop Guru, and I went to the library here when I first moved here. I looked through every dead gum book. I'd spend hours every day in the library, and I read about the Loop Guru and pirates. That's what got me hard up to go treasure hunting. with a metal detector. And I talked to an old man about the loop guru. He says, yeah, there's such thing out there. He was a World War II vet, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We know they've got the loop guru. Our parents used to say their parents were frightened if you don't be good, the loop guru is going to get you. You know.
Yeah.
And then when you find out, it just amazes me that it's not more open. More people aren't hunting this. There's not more stories, and people, you don't know the damage these creatures have done.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and they have to have water. They got to be secluded. Where do they live? You know, they live in like tree huts under the ground or what? I have no idea.
Anywhere
I can't
they
believe
want.
Yeah, it's just I can't cross over. I can't cross over in my mind that they really exist. But even though you've seen this thing, you know, it's a Walt Disney trick. But
it's hard to fathom.
Real.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom.
Hard
that
to
something
fathom.
exists that you just can't place where. And that's why I just, in the recent, you know, just recently, I've really started to believe that. That's why I said the trees, you know, I really think they use trees more so than we think, you know, because how often, you know, do you go out in the woods and do you look up, you know, you're usually looking straight ahead or down or at the side, you know, you don't want to step on a snake, you don't want to trip over a branch, you know, and I think they take advantage of that. But yeah, it's terrifying.
That is terrifying. You know, I've been hunting like you since I was a boy, and I'm quiet, and I'll hear mama bird and stuff like this, but I just can't believe that exists openly like that. But evidently it does, you know.
Yeah.
The public awareness of it, people are going to believe so much, but they all want proof. You know, until it attacks your truck or what? You know, until it steals your dog. I mean, what?
Yep.
You know.
And there's too many accounts not to believe in these things is my view of it. I saw what I saw, but I've got about, just in my filing cabinet from subscribers alone, 300-400 encounters. So how can I deny something like that, you know? And
you can't. It's just they're so stealthy. They know how to hide in the weeds in the woods, creeks and the bayous.
Yeah.
You know. That's not too far from Crowley's, what I'm saying.
Yep.
Where do they go? You know, it gives me the willies.
If you think about things, and I've been thinking about this just recently too, is the Native Americans, when white settlers first moved to America, and, you know, we tried to enslave them and tried to, you know, trick them and fight them, they had the advantage, you know. There was lots of times where, you know, a little tribe, or not tribe, but a little group of white settlers with their muskets would, you know, try to ambush some Native Americans, and the Native Americans would just disappear into the woods without being seen. Well, that's because they've lived here and they've mastered the woods, just like these creatures have. You know,
right, and they have an instinct. The good Lord made the suckers for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I guess He didn't want to leave the scary, spooky Lon Chaney type creature out of the mix, huh? I mean, they exist, you know.
Yeah.
I can't believe they're that big, but yeah, that's kind of scary. The thoughts I had after was, I need a bigger gun. I need exploding bullets. And I said, what am I talking about? Why do I want to get mauled and chewed up? You know, that's the thought I had after. What if there's more of these suckers in there hunting? That made me run even faster.
Yeah. What if there was a couple more?
Thanks, bud. Yeah, no way.
Yep.
12 gauge, I don't think so. I thought I was a badass with a 12 gauge, but I guess not.
Yeah.
It ain't worth it.
The thing that when you shared that, you had your dog with you, and you know what's crazy is your dog had no idea it was there until it was right pretty much on top of you too.
Well, I didn't see the darn critter. I didn't see it was coming. He stopped and was pointing.
Right.
I said, okay, what is it? He started creeping some more. You know, he stopped again. This thing come out. We were both flabbergasted.
Mm-hmm.
I never seen that dog afraid in my life until that moment. He was so terrified. He was going to try to kill it, though. I know that. He was going to defend me, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad I took a shot. I really don't want to be cruel to animals, but I don't know if I saved a life. But I know I didn't shoot him in the head because triple-aught buckshot makes some damage. At least poke the eyeballs out.
Well, you did save a life. You saved your own that day, and that's all that really
That's
matters.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thankful for, that I didn't, because I wouldn't, because, you know, they'd probably never find your body. They'd find your truck.
Yeah.
They might find pieces of you, but that wouldn't be worth it. And they probably wouldn't list it as a Dogman kill.
They never would. That's how they're. What's going on nowadays? That's you know, with all these people getting torn up, and you know,
sure.
they're listing
in these national parks.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be some more stories come out. You can guarantee it. It's spring. They got to come out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've got a feeling that, you know, I said it to a buddy of mine last year. You know, I said this year's going to be not too good. And it wasn't, you know. I think we had a bunch of air quotes, bear attacks in May, this and that. And, you know, and this year it started off crazy too. You've got all these bodies in Virginia and West Virginia. And it's just, I don't think that we'll ever have an end to any of these air quote mysterious deaths. And I say that because I know, and you know, and everyone else knows that listens to the channel, what's killing these people and what's making these people disappear. But we'll never get recognition for it. They'll never say, yes, it's a Dogman, yes, it's a werewolf, yes, it's a Bigfoot, yes, it's, you know, one of these things, that thing. They'll never tell us. I don't believe they ever will.
Your friends, like me, I've told people they need to tell more people that are going to go out free willy out in the middle of nowhere by themselves and what to look for.
Yeah.
You know,
yep.
Don't chance it.
Don't chance it. Keep an eye out.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you and your program. Good sir, and your people can look online, Crowley, and go down the railroad tracks and look at all that. My phone's about to die, good sir. I don't want to be it's got like half a bar. I know it's going to drop any second, Mr. Jeff. And God bless you and your family. And I'm glad you live in New York.
All right, sir. You have a good day. And it was great talking to you.
And you too, sir. The pleasure's all mine.
All right. Stay safe, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Super nice guy. Lots of info. Wasn't trying to insult anyone on the beginning, the intro there. You know, it's simple research. And, you know, like I said, I don't blame the people that believe it. I blame the creators that create it. 'Cause they know that people really don't want to go and research. That's 6 extra keystrokes that they have to do before commenting, you know? And I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Your support is what makes this channel honestly so special and what makes it continue to grow and go. I truly appreciate it. Guys, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real. They're out there, and they are dangerous. They're just not in Miami. Oh, Lord. Anyway, guys, never stop pushing back. Never stop asking questions. Never stop researching. And God bless you all.